What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I saw Ticket TV do a video talking about these reports coming out that Diddy's legal team are seeking a possible pardon from 2024 Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump if he is elected on November 5th to become the 47th president of the United States. Sean Diddy Combs is currently in federal prison facing RICO charges associated with the alleged trafficking. If convicted, he faces a possible sentence of life in prison, at the very least 15 years. Now, when it comes to Diddy, in addition to his involvement in the music industry and also in becoming a mogul and various other interests over his career, he has also been very, very active politically. Not necessarily as far as endorsing candidates, but also being active as far as creating organizations to promote involvement in far as the black community, the better interests and the best interests of the black community as far as politically, trying to increase our power, increase our awareness of political issues and social issues. And you may remember, those of us who are old enough to remember this, his involvement of the Vote or Die movement back in 2004, when the numbers were showing that young people were not partaking in the political process, and our numbers were lagging. Now, I just want to go over something right quick. One thing about Diddy that is noticeable is that, like any smart businessman, he tries to ingratiate himself on both sides of the spectrum. He thinks like a businessman. He goes for what he thinks is the better deal or what is best or his own self-interest. While I suspect that Diddy is a Democrat at heart, over the years, he has approached and ingratiated himself with both sides of the political spectrum. Now, you may recall back in 2004, as I said before, he was part of the Vote or Die movement, which saw an increase in the youth vote. And although his organization did not explicitly endorse John Kerry, or officially, I should say, endorse John Kerry, behind the scenes, obviously, the Vote or Die organization, or the Vote or Die movement and his organization, forget the name of the organization, the coalition, they privately or unofficially endorsed John Kerry. Now, despite the fact that we did see an increase in youth vote, and John Kerry did do better with the youth vote than Al Gore did, it still fell far beyond what was expected. I remember that vividly on election night, when it was expected in what the polling, it was expected to be a toss-up. Or I remember going into that weekend, it was some polls showing that John Kerry was favored to win. But what happened on election day Young people did not come out in the numbers expected, and John Kerry lost Florida. Remember, Bush won it by absolute half of a whisker in 2020. He won it more convincingly in 2004, and uh, Kerry lost Ohio by a larger margin than Gore had in 2004. A lot of it had to do with the lack of youth vote. This was also the first election where the country was introduced to Barack Obama. Then at that time, he was a young senatorial candidate coming out of Illinois. He trounced the hell out of Alan Keyes in that election. But Diddy, uh, at that point in time, was an admirer of Barack Obama. But Diddy had known Donald Trump before that. This is an old picture. From looking at this photo right here, I would say this is when he was still Puff Daddy. This is when he was Puff Daddy. And you can only guess why he and Donald Trump knew each other. So while Donald Trump would never admit to being part of any of these Diddy parties as of late, this is when Donald Trump was a younger man in his probably early 50s, still a swinger, probably still could get the little soldier up. And yeah, this is when, I'm looking at him right now. This is definitely the late 90s. This is when P. Diddy was still Puff Daddy. And Donald Trump was probably like 52, 53, 51, somewhere in that range. So he's known him for a long time. And up until the Trump administration, he was very friendly with Donald Trump. Matter of fact, as recently as 2016, 2017, he was still saying a lot of great things about Donald Trump. There's even some suspicion that he and Trump may still actually have been on good terms. And I know that sounds ridiculous for me to say, but you got to remember how these guys move, man. A lot of these guys, there's a public face or political face, and then there's a real face. For instance, the Trump campaign, Donald Trump was saying all types of awful things about RFK Jr. But then we saw from the phone call, and then, subsequently, since he dropped out, they still were friendly. But they say these horrible things because it's part of the game. It's part of the political game. Now, I suspect that's probably the case, and Trump and Diddy did fall out, but we don't know. All actions seem to indicate that's the case, but like I said, these business people, their minds are different, man. They know that politics is a game, and you have to say certain things you don't mean. But yeah, he's known Donald Trump for quite some time. This is an old photo. This looks to be a little bit later. This is when Trump was hooked up with Melania. I would say this was probably 2008 because you see the vote or die shirt that Diddy's wearing. Yeah, this is definitely 2000. Yeah, I would say this is 2008-ish because as you can see, Al Sharpton is thinner than he was in the 90s, but still a lot heavier than he is today. That's Russell Simmons, who no longer lives in his goddamn country. I would say this is probably 2008-ish. Yeah. So like I said, man, these people have known each other for quite some time. And that's more recent. Diddy became critical of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama toward the end of his administration, saying that he didn't do enough as far as the black community. The black community, Diddy had said, and it's true, helped to elect Barack Obama and definitely helped to reelect him, but we didn't get credit for that. Other people, including Hispanics, the Hispanic community got credit for that. So, like I said, Diddy has been associated with most of the major media, most of the political players that we have had, with the exception of Joe Biden. Even Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris came out in 2020 and thanked Diddy for his political involvement and for, matter of fact, let's see if I can pull this up. Because in 2020, remember Diddy came out with, what was it called? The Black People Party or the Black Power Party or something like that. And he had totally turned on Donald Trump. He became totally anti-Trump. And this is a tweet from Kamala Harris, who wouldn't even acknowledge that she put out this tweet. Thank you, Diddy, for hosting this town. Can't see the whole thing. Probably says town hall. Probably says town hall. There's a lot at stake for our community right now. It's critical, blah, blah, blah. Yakety schmackety. But anyway, yeah, that's Diddy. That's Diddy. Attached to all these players. And also, you know, keep in mind that a lot of these politicians obviously may have been at some of these parties. I'm not saying these individuals, but some of them probably have been in some of these parties. And feel compromised right now. Everybody's quiet. Okay. So when I say this is bigger than Diddy, when I say that, I'm not saying that Diddy's some victim and he's being set up. No. Diddy screwed up. And from what I can tell now, Diddy screwed up by being a cheapskate. Diddy screwed up by not paying the author. From what I've read now, from what I've seen, there was a woman that approached Diddy 2 years ago and said, we're going to come out with this unauthorized book about you. And this book is going to be horrible. And this book is going to put out some charges that obviously and actually are criminal in nature, not just an ethical thing. And Diddy could have bought her silence. This woman was supposedly working with Cassie, who had at that time had remarried. That woman had basically said, you can buy our silence for $30 million. Diddy told her to kick rocks. So it's interesting that when these charges got brought up, not charges, excuse me, when the lawsuit got brought up and Diddy settled for $30 million, that's when the floodgates open up. And you can make an argument that very, very ambitious prosecutors, federal prosecutors, looked at the case and said, Eureka, we can strike gold with this. And then when Diddy settled with her, it opened the floodgates for everybody and anybody who associated with him could just make shit up and get a piece of the pie. So it's like everybody's pecking at him, right? Now, when I look at these charges, man, some of this stuff still to me is bullshit. I'm not talking about all the charges, but some of this stuff, man, when I say it's bullshit, I'm not saying that these aren't on the book charges that won't put him in prison. I'm just saying from a layman's perspective, and as I am a layman, but when I look at some of these charges, they're bullshit. Like what I'm saying is, a lot of us feel like prostitution is a victimless crime, right? Now, I can say that, but still, according to the law, it's illegal, right? But most of us, the majority of us feel like this shit should be legal. The majority feel like marijuana should be legalized. But on the law, it's still illegal. But we still think it's bullshit. So what I'm saying is, they are changing the wordings of some of this shit so that it's including things that it wouldn't have included before. Now, all the other stuff, witness coercion and all that stuff, Diddy's a dumb motherfucker and he did this to himself. But I still think that this is bigger than Diddy because there are still other people in the industry who I think are going to turn on him and have turned on him, and they're going to make sure that he gets put away. You know? By the way, also, Diddy's late partner, Kim Porter, knew Don Jr.'s ex-wife. They both were models in the New York fashion world, right? So Diddy has a lot of knowledge when it comes to these people, and he's been associated with these people for over 25 years. Now, will Diddy get a pardon? I don't know. We just saw the other day Donald Trump put out a post superimposing Diddy's head on Montel Williams' body. So right now, Diddy is toxic as hell, but you can make an argument. Look, in 4 years, Trump issued more pardons than George W. Bush did in 8 years. You could argue that Trump, going into his second term, he's not going to be able to run again. Trump doesn't seem to really be affected by a lot of what other people think sometimes. I mean, could he pardon him? It's possible, but this is the thing. I would think that it would be a better chance of that had that videotape never came out. You can't get around that tape. You can't get around it. Now I'm going to say this. Technically, what Diddy did in that video in a vacuum by itself doesn't warrant federal charges. Yes. Domestic abuse charges. Yes. But that was done to destroy Diddy's rep. I mean, you can't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it confirmed what we all been reading about him. And that's muddied him. Look, Jeffrey Jones, right? From the Beetlejuice movie. 20 years ago, he was found to have taken pictures of underage boys, right? That has ruined his acting career. He hasn't acted in the movie since. He's not dead, but he hasn't acted in the movie. It ruined his acting career. So I'm only making that comparison because that videotape, I think it's ruined Diddy, man. It's ruined him. It's ruined him as far as the court of public opinion. So to me, I don't see what Donald Trump gains from pardoning Diddy. And this smacks of desperation on Diddy's part. But even if they were still on good terms, I think that it's over, man. I think that it's over. I think Diddy probably has seen his last day of freedom. But that's just my opinion, man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe something happens. Maybe something occurs. But I don't see it, man. Maybe if something under the table happens, monies, something. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that can happen. I don't know, but we'll see. I doubt it.